Hello. Where were you on January 1st, 1987?
If you were me, you were not around yet. You wouldn't be around for yet over a decade. But if you were around, say you were a little child or grown adult, something was created in your lifetime that became a staple. That character was born that was so recognizable and so intriguing, so mysterious too. Just a simple man wearing a simple outfit, carrying a simple cane. Because on January 1st, 1987, Martin Hanford released his very famous book called Where's Waldo? Or at the time it was called Where's Wally? It was 12 two-page illustrations that consisted of an insanely detailed image of maybe a beach, a park, just a general, very busy, bustling area with hundreds, if not thousands of characters, everybody doing something different. But there was one tie, a quirky little guy wearing a red and white hat, a red and white shirt, carrying around a cane. Waldo was a bit of a touristy character, a bit of an afterthought as Martin Hanford planned it, just a bit of a tie between all the 12 images, which allows the viewer to not only look for the guy, but also take longer exploring the page, exploring all the characters. Martin Hanford Where's Wally was not his first detailed artwork. He is very famously known for all his artworks, the ones that depict a very busy, bustling atmosphere, a image with an insane amount of detail. This art firm, which you refer to as Wimmelbilder, I may be butchering it, but it comes from a German word Wimmelbilderbach, which literally translates to teeming picture books. Martin Hanford was a master of his craft, and he still is. He has created many illustrations for magazines and newspapers that have reached out and asked him for some, even famously creating a album cover art for the band The Vapors for their album Magnets, which depicts an assassination of a president. Now, it really brought Martin Hanford artwork into the big scene, skyrocketing him to stardom, was his book Where's Waldo, which stayed on the charts of best-selling books for 93 weeks at the time of its release. Wally originally came from the name Walter or Wallace, which was not only a name but also a way in the old days to describe somebody who's a bit of an airhead, somebody who's not missed a lot of things, which is why he's always getting lost. Waldo or Wally starts off his journey in each picture by sending us a postcard, because he famously brings with him many different items such as a key, walking stick, kettle, mallet, cup, backpack, sleeping bag, binoculars, camera, snorkel, belt. Often he will lose one or a couple items in an image, and the viewer will be tasked with finding it. Now, Waldo also has many friends with him. He has Wilma, who is his friend, Wenda, who is Wilma's twin sister in the 1987 version, Odla, which is Waldo's arch nemesis, Wolf, which is Waldo's dog and later becomes Wenda's dog, Wizard Whitebeard, and then there's also a section of Wally Watchers, which are Waldo fans that make it into the books. Now, there's also something called the Land of Waldos, and I want you to keep this in mind because I might bring this up a bit later. Now, I can't get into the full history of Where's Waldo here today as much as I want to, and I might do it in another time because I would like to get to the main point of this video. But if you do want a more comprehensive dive into this art form, into more of the Waldo history, I implore you to watch Where's Waldo Legacy by Solar Sands, which did an amazing 15-minute dive through kind of the evolution of the art form, including going all the way back to Bosch. And if you would like to explore more of this art form just on your own and see what everyday people have done, I recommend a Reddit called r/Wimmelbilder. Where's Waldo got spun off into a TV show and even inspired a horror game called Let's Find Larry, which consists of a character going missing, us trying to find them, there's paranoia, shadowy figures, the whole deal. I stumbled upon this video, and this is clearly where I stumbled into something that has been going on for a while, and I got intrigued. The pixel animations and the kind of game-like setting made me think, is this an actual game or is this something that's being created by somebody? And so I went to explore more. So I ended up on the channel of Lumpy, an extremely talented pixel animator. He's done some different series, but I was very interested in where's Waldo. I was interested in finding what's going on. I went back to square one, and I will take you along with me as we go through at the time of recording, 15 videos that have been posted in this Where's Waldo series. I want to talk theories, I want to talk about stuff that I found, but if you guys find absolutely anything in these videos that I have not, please let me know down in the comments. Now, this is a major spoiler warning for this whole series because I'll be talking through every video that I have watched, which is at the time of recording, as I said, 15 videos. Now, let's get started with the first video. Now the first video is definitely an exposition. We learn about what's going on with the character. We learn that we play as a detective and that there are already a couple murders happening and have happened. Now don't let the upbeat music and the fun environment of characters just moving in two different positions trick you. This story gets dark. Now, if you just took your time to find Waldo in those 5 seconds that were given, and you found him, congratulations. Did you find the 2 dead bodies? Did you, detective? There's a white sheet covering definitely a bloody scene. And I want to put your attention to a bloody cane that is left near the scene. So it either belonged to the victim or our Waldo, who is carrying yet another cane. So does he just have them as disposable? Like, does he use them as straws? Just beat somebody to death and leave them? We don't know. Let's keep that in mind. Now, the second body I had a lot of trouble finding, especially through my first couple watches. Especially because this was the first video I saw. I didn't know how to look for these details yet. But if you look down in the green train cabin, you will see yet another bloody figure dressed in green, which camouflages almost perfectly if it isn't for all the bloodshed. And I believe that is why the Waldo's kill count went up too. But we already found out he killed 7 people. So there's clearly a backstory to all of this. Now the second video is a very, very different story. I've actually been writing down the things that I found from each video, and as you can see, video number 2 is pretty hefty. But it's more like minor details, nothing too crazy. Well, besides the other 2 dead bodies. No, Waldo is not that hard to spot. He's just in a corner walking along the green grass in the park. But if you look above, and if you watch the whole video, that is where we get the first inkling that he gives us the clue of where the first dead body is. And that is in the mailbox, and that is our fellow predecessor of the predecessing detective. However, there's also a dead guy on the road. If you look down at the bottom of your screen, and then as you can see on the trucks, we get shown what the product they're carrying. So there's some purple perfumes, green perfumes, some deer stuff, and a Playboy truck. Yep, you heard me right. The green truck on the bottom, That is a Playboy sign. And now if you look a little closer as well to the image, even closer to Waldo, you will see two officers which arrested seemingly a prisoner, but a very similar color pattern to Waldo, but except it's black and white, which it makes me think that he's just a runaway prisoner that they caught. There's also a guy in the manhole, which we're not sure if he's fixing something or he's trying to get himself out, whether he just fell in, and a guy just randomly running on the road. I mean, I guess that's one way of motivating yourself to run. Similar to another guy in the manhole, we also have somebody in the manhole, which we're not sure who. All we see is a pair of black eyes, which happened right outside of the crash. We find later on that only Waldo's eyes glow in the dark. However, they're not typically red, but you never know. Moving on to the next. Now this new scene, the stakes are higher. They're a lot higher because Waldo has now hidden 4 bombs in this beautiful, beautiful campground scene. Or is it a beautiful, beautiful campground scene? You found Waldo? Congratulations. Do you find all the other weird stuff going on in the image? I found some. Now, besides the 4 bombs that you need to defuse, which you find out only later, which Waldo will let us know about later, but I will let you about it now. There's one on the cabin, there's one on the trailer, there's one on seemingly like a sleeping bag of sorts, and there's one on a deer truck. Not a Playboy truck, because it actually looks like a deer truck this time. However, if you look closely, it's a bit of a wild camp. Something out of imagination. There's unicorns running around. There's grown people pretending to be cats and dogs. Not sure if that's really related to anything, if they're just playing with their kids, but... And then you can also see some fallen trees on the road, which, now that we know that Waldo hid bombs, kind of shows that he wanted to affect as many people as possible. Now, we no longer get his kill count. We can know that for sure his kill count now is 11. Besides the unicorns, did you find another folk-like creature? Because it looks like there's multiple tree monsters trying to eat the kids and the adults around the campsite. So you can see there's one guy scaring the living, there's one monster scaring the living crap by the guy by the cabin and one by the road. Which, where'd they come from, where'd they go? Now we see some axes lying around near the fallen trees. So now this, being Canadian, this is probably the most dangerous thing on this whole image. And that there's a moose just in the middle of the campground with many, many people, and there's a child trying to pet the moose. Now, mooses, that's what I'm calling them. Mooses are very dangerous creatures. The sheer size of them, the sheer way they're built, makes them a killing machine if they want to attack you, if they feel threatened, or if you hit them with a car. There's a famous saying of you might survive hitting a deer, but you will not survive hitting a moose. So the moose in the middle of the campground was definitely the most jarring, the most dangerous part. Now the 4th scene takes place in a city park. So, you know, Waldo is definitely being a tourist, you know, he's going all the nice, popular places. Did you find Waldo in a lot of time? Good job. Congratulations. I am very, very proud of you. Did you catch his doppelganger? There is a second character that's just very similar to Waldo, but yet not recognized as a second Waldo. And I'm not really sure why, because the next videos we'll find out more about this Waldo phenomenon. Now this scene is also pretty action-packed. We have yet another prisoner being arrested once he is very close to Waldo. We have another guy working down in the drain and working down in the manhole. So there's a lot of construction going around here, you know. I'll be honest, this seems pretty similar to the scene of the second video, now that I'm looking even closer at it, because we have the same white cane on the ground as from the previous video. We have yet another mailbox that's positioned pretty similarly. It's not bloody, but it's positioned pretty similarly, so I'm not sure if this is just a zoomed in version, but now that you look closer at it, for example, the lamppost, it no longer resembles Waldo. It's just an orange lamppost, so what's about that? Now, we also notice there's a lot more security, a lot more police officers walking around. We see some at the top of the screen doing some searching, we see some at the bottom patrolling the park, we see some arresting the prisoners. So is this related to all of the serial murders from Waldo, or is it just because there's a constant prison break going on? Now there's also a robbery going on at the top of the screen, which is pretty close to where a police officer is, you know, doing a little bit of searching. So now, so if you look a little bit closer, I saved the best for last. There's looks like to be some white patches with letters sprinkled all over the scene, and if we go and look at them from the top down, we see the letters POINTLESS. Pointless. He's telling us all of our efforts are pointless, which he also says later in the letter, which when we try to tranquilize him and just take him, it doesn't work. We have a bit of a Matrix moment where he stops our bullet, drops it on the ground, and then leaves a letter for us saying that, good try, but don't embarrass yourself. All that you do is pointless. Now somebody pointed out in the comments that the Waldo signature looks a bit like a 2. Does it foreshadow anything? Does it bring us back to the doppelganger over here? Let's watch the next video. Video 5 takes us to the fairgrounds. A very fun time for all family, except a couple characters. Now, the fair is supposed to be a good, fun time for a family to go out, enjoy the sunshine, and eat all the crappy food that's put out in the food trucks. But something's been going wrong in these fairgrounds, such as straight up in the middle of the screen, we see yet another dead body with a white sheet on it. Now, this guy in the middle is not the only one having a poor time. There's a drowning man in the lake and a drowned man in the lake. Now, Waldo is, if you found Waldo in the first place, you see that he is very nearby these two deaths. So if the fact that he didn't save them makes him very complicit in it. Now, we can't say he drowned them, but once again, we can be very suspicious of them. We have so far 2 dead people on the grounds. That's not all the injured parties. If we take a peek over at the tent, we can see that there's a lot of blood spatter and yet more glowing eyes. So, is this another Waldo? Is this just 2 lights hanging by? Once again, as I said before, we know that Waldo's eyes light up, and this is something that Lumpy said himself in another video that he made, talking about some Easter eggs in a video that's going to come later. So, is this yet another Waldo? Because if you look down and follow the fence, you'll find the second Waldo. Is it another doppelganger? We don't know. Now we also see some clowns walking about the fairs and scaring the crap out of everybody, or making everybody laugh. We're not really sure. Now, we can also spot a very familiar figure right around the bottom of the picture right there, it looks like we got a little short white character with a nice blue jacket on, which is very resemblant of Sans from Undertale. You can also see what looks like a very official looking character wearing black pants and a purple shirt. Did we just see purple guy? Was this purple guy? Now, with this fun little scary revelation that there are now multiple Waldos, we want to move on to video 6, but before we do, I want to remind you of the Land of Waldos, just as a fun little gag. Is it a fun little gag, or is there actually something going on? Is the Land of Waldos real in this universe? Are they all clones of each other? Do they all come from the same land? You know? Or are they all, each of them, you know, little evil Land of Waldos where they get to come in and kill a couple people on this realm and then leave? We do know that they're paranormal. But moving on to video 6. Video 6 changes pace completely. It is no longer find Waldo first and then listen to him taunt us. It is an action scene. They leave the detective for dead. Whether he'll live, he'll die, they don't care. But they do leave a message for us, the actual detective. The reason I refer to the character as a detective is because we meet him later on. But we're left with even more scarier realization. There are now 4 Waldos. There were 2, there are now 4. Why are there 4? And that is when a theory popped up. What if Waldos are the victims? What if these extra Waldos are the victims of the original Waldo? What if each character that he murdered later becomes a Waldo, burdened and cursed with continuing the murderous task? Because so far we can attribute at least a few deaths to him. We know that he has a kill count of at least 11. Now video 7 takes us to a beach boardwalk. And that is where Lumpy had some fun. There's a lot of very obvious Easter eggs for us to look out for, and some not as obvious Easter eggs to look out for. So let's go a couple through the ones that I found. Very recognizable faces, such as Peter Griffin, the dog from Blue's Clues. Very nice cameos, you know? Very fun things to look out for. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows in this image either, as the other ones. But you can see 2 active shark attacks happening, which It'll make sense because there's definitely a lot of people bothering them in their home right now. Now also, if you look a little bit closer through the windows, we can see that there's two very jolly smiles looking at us. We're kind of right by where the Yoshi is, which we will later find out in the behind the scenes video are clowns. Terrifyingly large amount of clowns. Now the official Waldos in this image are the one lying on the beach towel, and then there's a nice cute little Waldo hiding in a pink tube in the water with only his hat sticking out to give us any clue about his identity. And now there's also a fourth Waldo. Nowhere really that visible, and there's only one clue about his identity, and that he is somewhere around here. It's his glowing eyes in the sewer. So now there are 4 Waldos hiding in this one image, and yet Waldo asks us if we have any backup. He is a bit of a bastard. This was all the Easter eggs that I have found in this video. If you guys find any more, please let me know. Now the restaurant is one of our last levels where it's still more lighthearted. It gets a lot more darker from here on out.